today in Watcher of Realms. I'm not alone. I'm joined by Cold Brew Gaming. Cold Brew, what's up, man? How you doing? It's been a minute.
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's fun making collabs with you always, and this time we're doing it on this brand new game for you at
Yeah,
least.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm really loving Watcher of Realms, and you have a channel, man. I'm so embarrassed because I didn't even know you had a Watcher of Realms channel up until yesterday when you asked to collab, and then I checked it out, and man, you're like 2 months ahead of me. Great, would highly recommend it to everybody out there to check out your Watcher channel. Have that linked in the description below. Today you're here to help us navigate through the top 10 champions for free-to-play accounts, champions that you can, access somehow in the game, either for free right out the gate as a daily login or as a reward for doing something or a fusion. So, man, you're the guest here, Cold Brew. You want to start things out?
Yeah, I'll definitely
All
start
right.
things out. Although I'm not free to play myself, I'm just gonna admit it. I'm just gonna get it
Sure.
out the way.
Well,
I'm
neither
not
of
free to
us are.
play.
Neither of us are. But these
I
are
will. Yeah, I will also admit that these heroes actually are heroes that I use on almost a daily basis. So they definitely have value and are worth discussing. So
You know what? That's a good flag. Like out the gate, that's a good flag. It's going to be called for free to play or low spenders or something. But like, frankly, same thing here. The heroes that I have selected are heroes that I use all the time. So really for every account,
yeah, that's right.
Maybe I'll rename the video to free champions that everybody can use or heroes that everybody can use. Do you do that too? Do
Yeah.
you call them champions? Do you use raid lingo in Watcher?
I mess it up so many times. I even mess it on raid and call them heroes when I do videos there.
It's a nightmare, man.
It's
Anyway,
confusing.
kick things off, bro. Who you got for us first, man?
I'm gonna kick it off with one hero that people are gonna expect to get as they play the game a little bit more. They're gonna pick up Olaf, and he's available through the Void Rift when you get to level 40. It's the recent addition to the Void Rift in terms of like a free reward for everybody. Olaf in the Northerners, he is such an amazing tank. He's even better than legendary tank that I have. Like I put them on the side and I have Olaf there. He has like a huge shield that he applies to himself every couple of seconds, and that gets to go down with how many skills you put into it. And that huge shield just keeps him alive, and he barely needs any healing sometimes. And it's just an amazing way to keep, the front line there holding strong without needing so much of a heal. And fantastic epic.
Yeah, man, I love that. I just got him somewhat recently. So I want to ask you, I'm going to throw in some selfish questions along the way too. So I have Baron and I have Toragor, I think his name is. So I have Abomination, right? So Torador. So I have like three really in Wrath. So if you were me right now, would you build Olaf as well? In addition, I mean, I know I'm going to build him eventually.
I would say that you need at least 2 tanks to build out. So you got Torador and you've got Olaf now, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm kind of using Abomination as a tankish, like right now.
Yeah. He can be used as a tank, but the thing with this game is that tanks can block more enemies, so that's sometimes why you need to have them instead of something like Abomination. But if Abomination has the damage, he can kill something before he needs to block more than 2 targets, for example. So and sometimes you need to have maybe 2 tanks and then Abomination as well to additionally block. It's these things that you need to have in mind. But I would definitely suggest working on Olaf at least to let's say level 50 for now, and eventually you need him to at 60 because he just won't be tanky enough at 50.
All right, makes sense. And then I'm just going to go with the champion or the hero that I just mentioned, and that is Abomination, who is a permanent fusion. I think the only permanent legendary fusion inside the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased, but I think he's worth going for. The thing I love about this dude is, as I mentioned, at least in the early and the mid game, I can't speak to the late game. even though you could use him certainly late game as a DPS or fighter or whatever. But like this guy can also tank and hold his own better than most other fighters, obviously. So he's got such great base stats, so he can deal a lot of damage. Oftentimes one of my best damage dealers, and he can, like I said, he can actually just like I can focus on healing other units for a while, and he can kind of like tank as well, act as kind of a quasi hybrid defender fighter for me, at least again in the mid game. What about you? What do you think about Abomination? Do you think he's worth for everybody to fuse?
Yeah, he's definitely worth fusing, although you have to be careful before you fuse him. Like if you have, let's say, one of the heroes needed for the fusion only, don't use it up just to make him.
Yeah.
Because like an example, Vortex is one of the fusion requirements for it. He's one of the best healers in the
game. Yeah.
And I still use him everywhere. So once you get a second copy, then you can start considering for making Abomination. But Abomination is definitely really strong, and as you get stronger in terms of your account and you're farming, getting good gear, you'll see on how much stronger and stronger Abomination becomes as you invest a little bit more every day on him, and maybe one skill every now and then improvement to his gear here and there, and you'll see on how strong he actually is.
All right, cool, man. Who you got next?
Next up, I'm gonna jump like a little bit ahead to many players out there. I think the earliest you can get this hero, and it's Volca. The earliest you can get this hero is, I think, day 19 or day 20, even as free to play. It's totally doable. It's through the hero's path, which is something like the Arbiter, which we get in Raid. Right.
Yeah.
And instead of it being like a huge struggle to get it, you can get it in under a month in this game. And it's a fantastic hero because she provides a tremendous boost to your whole team in terms of the ability to heal. Just because of her being in there, your allies' attacks will be restoring their health a little bit, and she restores her health as well.
Oh yeah,
she has that passive that she does, and
Scarlet
she can also with her ultimate ability apply physical damage and magic damage. Like a boost, you will be doing more damage to the enemy that she applies it on. So it's gonna help you just push a little bit more everywhere just because she's there. And she's got a great awakening as well. Like the Awakening 1, which is the first one that you can actually get for free, completely for free, as long as you're playing the Tide, which is a part of the game we all play. So that is on 105, stage 105, which is about, I think, I want to say 40 days, but I might be wrong. But you'll get there. That's what I mean. And that reduces the revival time of all your allies as long as she's in there. So it helps you. If a unit dies, you put it down again in much shorter period of time.
Dude, that is sick. The 25% revival reduction. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. Okay, cool. That's a good call out there. It's a good reason to, do the hero's path. Unlike me, who's been slacking right now. All right. I'm going to keep it pretty obvious here in Wrath, right? I mean, this guy is a monster. I feel like I put out a video on him. I'm sure you've covered him as well. I mean, he's just a DPS machine. He's a maniac. And the best thing about this dude is, well, the second best thing about him, I'll say, maybe the third best, I don't know, but I love that he has the built-in crit rate, 15% on the talent. You get that on where do you get that? I don't know. You get it on the first skill up or something like that, right? Either way, dude, he's a machine, right? So you have to build in the 80. You only have to build in the 85% to get to 100 on the crit rate, which is nice because it can be difficult to gear your champions in the early game. In this game, is specifically to 100% crit rate on your DPS, but the real cool thing about him is his cost is 16, so he's reasonably cost compared to other fighters and tanks and melee units in the game. He's usually the first dude that I put out there in a lot of maps, and of course his Awakening 5, which everybody talks about, allows him to self-sustain, right? He's basically, and that gives you the luxury of putting this dude down like in the corner of the map, on a portal strategically, and be able to hold his own, do a ton of DPS, and not have to allocate a lot of support around him as well. So yeah, I think he's a 14-day login. You also get one Awakening for him on day like 42 or something. Definitely should be a priority for folks out there to get this guy obviously geared up, promoted certainly, and then awakened eventually. So love Wrath.
Just to add on top of everything you said, it's 100% true and correct. I love Wrath. His Lord skill is what makes him extra special.
Yes.
Getting Lords
Good
in this
call.
game it's like winning the lottery. So he's gonna help you once you get more faction allies to get even stronger, because the more allies you put down that are of the same faction, they just become faster in terms of hitting. Their attack speed goes up, and they hit harder throughout the fight. And he works very well in the guild boss for this reason.
Heck yeah, good call out there. Having a free epic lord
Yeah.
in one of the strongest factions of the game is really solid. Who you got next, Cold Brew?
I'm gonna go in with definitely free to play things that you can consider, and it's gonna be the one and only Cuke. He doesn't have a faction, so people might get confused a little bit.
Yeah, what's up
No,
with that, man?
Some heroes don't even have a faction. It's weird.
I know
in this game, but
I was
he's
searching
like a
for him
marksman.
forever, right? Like the first time somebody mentioned him, I'm like, where is he? What faction is he in? Go on, sorry.
Yeah. So he's a marksman that you don't need to invest much into him. You can get him maybe to rank 3, rank 4. He's not gonna change anything. He goes to a higher rank. You're not gonna need him to survive, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
The reason that he's so good is because he applies a poison, and the poisons in this game do a % damage of the max health of the enemy, similarly to what happens in raid. But the way that you can use this guy is for some of the arena fights, even where it's single target only, and he can apply poisons and do more damage than even legendary champions. So you might see him against you in the arena sometimes, and you're gonna be wondering, what is this guy doing in the enemy's team? And you realize soon enough what he's actually doing. He's just killing the big targets faster than your legendaries are. And he can also like put a trap down, so the big tanky enemy can't move and hit your nexus during PvP. And he can also be used in some of the raids, specifically the artifact material raid, which is very difficult. He can be used in there as well as an added hero to do some damage there to the big boss. So definitely worth it to just keep an eye on him and don't feed him immediately.
All right, good call out there. You had another rare on the list. Want to go ahead and jump right to it?
I'll go ahead
back
to the next
back.
one.
Yeah.
It's in the same. He's a marksman again, but this guy has a faction. He's a cultist. Although you won't really use him in the faction trials that they have in this game. What you want him for is because he can apply a freeze. It's El Lucas. Lucas is his name. So he can apply a slow on enemies, and not a freeze, a slow on the enemies, and makes the enemies just move very slowly. And that gives you time for your other marksmen to do heavy amounts of damage on whatever enemy you're trying to take down before the enemy reaches that nexus part, and you lose the 3-starring of either the campaign or specifically the gear rate 3, where I'm using him as an example. And again, he doesn't need the investment of 4 stars or 5 stars. He can stay at 4 stars. You just give them speed. So Cuke and this guy, you just give them speed so they can hit faster and faster.
Okay.
So they apply their debuffs with more frequency.
Well, that was my next question. How should we, like, what stats should we focus on? So you just already answered it for me. So I love that
you don't care about the attack.
Yeah, and I love that you use them again as a spender who is, progressed quite a bit in the game. So that's really, it's testament to how effective they can still be.
Yeah, I use them in gear rate, like an example, gear rate 3, the 19th stage, which is very difficult. I'm using a rare at level 40, and he's working perfectly for what I need him to be doing. Yeah.
I might have to invest. That's why I wanted to have you on this collab, because it's like, I have 99 of the 142 heroes in the game, right? But it's just like I probably upgraded, a third of those. I can't speak on a lot of these heroes, so love having you on. My next is going to be Mari, and I believe she is a day 3 hero that we get in this game.
I think so.
Man, she is so good. I actually slept on her for a while, Cobru. Like I was,
Mm.
I had her. I kind of used her a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know. As an early game player, even as a veteran, so to speak, in like the gotcha category or whatever, like I got too attached to the damage on some of these heroes. Like if they weren't putting up
Yeah.
numbers, I was like, yeah, I'll pause a little bit, and I just didn't appreciate the control, and the debuff. So
Yeah.
Mari is a mage that everybody gets. I think that she's criminally underrated now. Like I've pulled a full 180 on her. She has slow, as you mentioned, how strong that can be. It's a 75%. She also has her blizzard is pretty good, right? But really, it's
a
all
big
about
freeze.
yeah. It's like it has a. I don't know if it's not the entire battleground, but it's huge. Like that radius
It's
that
a
freeze comes
big like
down.
circle. It's a big
Yeah,
circle that she does.
and just I forgot what it was. I think it was Gear Raid 1, right? Like the impact that she can
Mm.
have at just buying time was
Yeah.
what got me through like those stages that I was stuck on. So I have now a much better and healthier appreciation for what she can bring in terms of control. I'm sure there's better legendaries out there when it comes to control, but she is still a hero that I use quite a bit, and one that I slept on for too long.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You can use her in PvP.
Yep.
Some of the teams work well with her because she does the slow, she does the freeze, and she does physical damage and magic damage vulnerability to the target, so they take more damage as well as being slowed. So she works great in helping you take down a target. Like in my first days of playing, I think I used her in Guild Boss even as well, just because of those two debuffs that she
Yeah.
was applying. Because I didn't have anything else,
Yeah.
really. So she becomes like a good part of your teams as you progress through, and you can even use her in later parts, in later gear rates where things become a little bit more difficult, and you need the enemies to be slowed down.
Slow them
Because
down. Yeah.
like a small note, not all slows are the same in this game.
Yep.
Like you need to click on it and then read what it says, because it might say slow, but it might be 25%.
No,
So
you're
it
right.
might
You're
say,
right. Yep.
yeah. So you gotta click on it to make sure. Oh, is this a good slow or is it a bad slow? It
Indeed.
doesn't say.
I want to. This might be an unfair question, but I want to selfishly ask it. Is in this game, like talking raid, right? Like we know the essential debuffs, like decrease defense, decrease
Yeah.
attack, whatever. Is there an essential debuff in this game? Because it seems like there's a lot of them. Like.
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay, no. I appreciate the honesty, man. Yeah.
I'll give you the reason why we talked about this a little bit off air, but
Yeah.
every hero seems to have like their own thing. They do their own thing. This guy does a bleed, and this bleed because it's this hero that does it so much differently.
Yeah.
Like they'll have a defense down that they do it themselves. Like each hero has something else. Like it might be a buff that they apply to themselves or the target, but you can't see it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's weird, and I think bleeds would be maybe a very strong debuff to have, but it's not easy to get it to apply on target. Like I don't have a hero that has it. I have one, but I'm not using it, to be honest, because it's an epic and I have other stuff. But if I didn't have the legendaries, for example, I would use it as a way to do more damage, because bleeds do percent damage like poisons do.
Yep.
But they also boost the damage that you do on the target.
All right. Well, okay. Who you got next? We have a few left, right?
Yeah, I've got a few left. I think. Did we talk about like Narvi? Narvi is a good example.
No.
I think
that's another no faction, right?
Yeah, another one, no faction. Although I haven't used her that often, I've used similar champions to her, similar heroes to her. Just using that champion.
You did it.
The word, yeah, I did it.
But
so
Narvi,
what she does,
inspiration. I got you. Yeah. Go
you
on.
got me.
Sorry. Yep.
So what she does, she's a cost generator. You can see it from her tags right there below. Her description is that she will generate cost back for just being on the board, for just placing her down. So you'll recover whatever you spent on placing her down, like the 10 cost. You'll recover that, plus she can buff some allies, as an example. There's other heroes that do just the recovery of the cost, or they might do that plus something else. So she's one of the heroes that you need to have in mind, because she's gonna help you in fights that you know are gonna go for a longer time, or You might have a hero that you need to drop down that's 22 cost, and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna take me forever to drop that hero down. Well, she can be there as a generator for you on like maybe behind your tank. She's gonna stay there, slowly recover that cost, and you'll be able to drop in maybe 2 heroes at one point almost immediately, just because she's recovering that cost for you.
Yep.
And then you just get her back and put something else down on the board. And when you recall a hero from the board, you get half the cost you spend. So if you spend 10, you get 5 back.
Love that. Love that. Inspiration too, one of the more powerful buffs, if not the most out there in the game. She has that, and all from
As well.
all from a super accessible hero. So that's great. My final one
definitely.
is, it's kind of a cheat here, a little bit, cold brew, but for me, it's the free marksman that you get. You know, one of the 4, right? And my favorite, although I want to shout out 2 of them. My favorite's Idril. Like, I think that she is unbelievable. I still use her a lot. I love her ultimate. Basically can hit anywhere on the entire battlefield, right? So sometimes when you have one of those enemies just creeping up on your portal or whatever, last second you're like, boom, sniper shot. So I really love, and she does a lot of damage too, a ton of damage. She can out damage. It's surprising sometimes which legendaries even that she can out damage. And the other one, like, I've heard people in the comments kind of taking shots at Brienne sometimes, but I don't know how you feel about her, but I actually really like Brienne as well. I think that she's, maybe it's I'm a mid-game noob, but I like her. I think she can deal a lot of damage as well, and I think that I just wanted to give those 2 a shout.
No.
Yeah.
She, I would say Idril is higher than Brienne, but Brienne is right next in terms of how useful they are. Because Brienne, she can be used in one of the gear rates, like extremely, which is extremely hard. You can use her because she does more damage to airborne units, and you really need that for that specific gear rate. So, Idril, I love the snipe from a mile away. I love that. It feels so cool to just activate that and know that that enemy that can't hit you, you can hit it and take it down before it even touches any of your units. And there's a lot of strategies with her. Like, what you'll see it once you're pushing the campaign. You'll see on how useful she's gonna be.
Like sometimes there's bosses that are just so out of range, but she can just snipe them down. It's beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree. Do you have one more, or is that it? Did we get them all there?
I think we can call one more, and it's again one of the 4 that you get.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it out because it's also part of the future. So he's more free to play than even Idril or Brienne, because you might get unlucky and not get those 2 when you start out your account. It's Theowin. So Theowin is an actual fusion. So you need like 2 uncommons and 2 rares. These you can slowly randomly get as you're playing, and slowly work on fusing this guy. But he'll work nicely in some of the teams that you do. He's not going to be on the same tier maybe as Idril or Brienne that I've mentioned, but he still does some good work. He throws like a big large saber on the ground, and it just spins and does damage. So he doesn't even need to be there to be hitting. It's just his saber that does the hitting, and he can also apply a very solid slow for 50% reduction on speed through that. So it's something to have in mind, that not only he can do some damage, but also do some crowd control as well.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, hey, Cobra, thanks so much for coming on, giving your expertise, talking about all these awesome heroes. Hopefully it helped some viewers out there. And of course, I would encourage everybody to go ahead and subscribe to Coldbrew's Watcher of Realms YouTube channel. Cobra, thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you. No problem, thank you. It was always great chatting and just rethinking of all these champions, all these heroes that help you help your account out and just help you enjoy the game more, actually.
Yeah, invest with confidence, guys, and enjoy the game. To CB's point, thank you guys for watching, and as always, take care, guys.